Here are 8 financial habits that are keeping you poor. Number 1 is paying yourself last. Now, I used to be one of those people who will get paid every single month. I would pay my bills. I would go around spending money left, right, and center. And then at the end of the month, I would check how much money was left in my bank account so I could save it, invest it, or anything like that. And I came across a concept in Robert Kiyosaki's books where he was talking about managing your money in 2 ways. One was like the rich people and one was like the poor people. The poor people did what I used to do, and the rich people actually paid themselves first. And what I mean here is every time you get paid, every month you get paid, first invest in your pension, invest in your brokerage account for your early retirement, invest in the things that you love, invest in yourself first, and then cover everything else. This will accelerate your financial journey so fast, and you will reach your financial goals a lot sooner than you have even anticipated. Habit number 2 that is keeping you poor is actually getting comfortable with bad debt. Now, there are 2 types of debts. There is good and there is bad debt. Good debt is an example of Kim Kardashian taking out a mortgage of a £20 million mansion and utilizing the tax benefits. One, she can utilize the tax benefits when she's depreciating the asset, and second, she can utilize the tax benefits when she's paying the interest on that loan. And then there is bad debt, which is more often in this day and age credit cards. Credit cards interest rates are more than 20 to almost 30% these days, and poor people normally use it to buy anything and everything at this point. Why is that bad? Number 1, it doesn't buy us an asset. Number 2, it costs us so much more than the actual thing that we are buying, because you are paying so much interest in order to buy something silly that it's not an asset and that it's not going to generate you income. And number 3, it takes so long to pay off if you don't have the means to pay it off immediately, or if you're in a hard financial situation and you can only afford to pay the minimum. Sometimes to pay credit card debt, it can take just as long as paying off a mortgage. Therefore, knowing the difference between good and bad debt can make a huge difference to your financial situation and how fast you achieve your financial goals. My personal recommendation, and I have learned this from experience as well because I have had credit card debt, is I am trying not to use credit cards anymore, and if I do, I will pay it off straight away. Habit number 3 keeping you poor is actually not having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is normally 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up in an easy access account just in case something went wrong. Your car broke down, something went wrong in your property and you need to do a renovation, or you have a health emergency that you need to pay for. Not having an emergency fund will set you back so badly, because more often than not, it will make you go into debt, which is what has happened to me in the past as well. And that debt, more often than not, will be credit cards. And as we mentioned in the previous point, credit cards are bad debt, and it can dig you into way bigger financial hole that you need to be in. So prioritizing saving for a emergency fund can be the one thing that sets you up for success this year. Habit number 4 keeping you poor is lifestyle inflation. And lifestyle inflation is once your income increases, your lifestyle increases. So if you have a really big and nice pay rise, you then go buy a better car, a better home, better clothes, and etc. etc. Now just imagine if you have that nice and big and juicy pay rise, but instead of increasing your lifestyle, you took the difference and you invested it in your future, in your early retirement, or in a business that you might have wanted to start for a while. What difference that could make to your financial goals and where you might be in the next 5 to 10 years. Having a pay rise of £100 can end up you having £1,000,000 invested in 30 years. Now imagine if that pay rise was 500 and you decided to invest this for the next 30 years. Just imagine the compound effect of that. Habit number 5, keeping you poor, is actually focusing only on savings rather than investing. This is more common with older generations or with people that are not so much financially educated and they are very risk averse, so they are scared to invest in assets that are growth focused or income producing focused. So they have such a scarcity mindset in a way. They are so scared that they will lose the money that they have that they prefer to just save it in a simple bank account. However, compound interest is the 8th, 9th, 10th wonder of the world. And it's the thing that is making regular people like me and you and teachers and accountants millionaires by the time they retire, by simply investing in index funds and ETFs and being consistent. And if you start early enough, it doesn't even require that much of upfront investment. So getting educated on investing for the future rather than just saving can save you a lot of work in the future, because it will take you a lot more harder work and a lot more longer time to save £1 million than to just invest every single month £100 for the next 30 years. Which brings me to habit number 6 that is keeping you poor, and that is waiting too late to invest. The thing with investing and compound interest is that the younger you start and the earlier you start, the more time you have on your side, the less money you will have to invest. And I cannot stress this enough. £100 invested at like an average 10% rate of return for the next 30 years, you will end up with over £1 million. However, if you waited until 35 or 40, you would only end up with a fraction of that amount, or you will need to invest 10 times more in order to achieve the same result. So if you take away one thing from this video, you would be go and open up your stocks and shares ISA and start investing for your future, instead of piling your money in a low interest savings account that is not doing anything for your future. Number 7 habit keeping you poor is a bit of a controversial one, and that is paying too much tax. Now, this will be more for the people who are self-employed, who are a part of a business, who have very high salaries. Now, everyone has to pay tax. That is true. It's correct. It's unavoidable. We have to pay it. However, there are very interesting and different tools with which you can reduce your tax bill and save money on that. For those people who are unaware, who are self-employed, who have higher than 100 and 125k salaries, who have side businesses, who have side hustle, who have rental properties, I highly advise to get with an accountant and seek their advice on how you can structure things and what you can do in order to reduce your tax bill. I myself am qualified accountant, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. I will be more than happy to help give you the guidance that you need to save up a little bit of extra money. And habit number 8 is probably the worst one, and this is not caring and having your head buried in the sand, as we like to say. We say ignorance is bliss, but not in this instance. Achieving financial goals, being financially free, being financially healthy does take a lot of effort, a lot of planning, and a lot of attention to detail, especially if you come from a background where you have not been taught about finance, you were not financially educated, your parents didn't have the financial education either, and you do not have a good financial example to lead on from. And having your head buried in the sand will only make things worse. And I have been there, I have done that. I was in a bad-ish situation, and I just reached a point where I just didn't want to deal with it anymore because it was so shameful, it was so embarrassing. However, this will only make it worse. And if you can find someone who can be your accountability partner, or who you can just even share your role with, it will make it so much better for you, and it could be the thing that you just need. Because I have seen a lot of people now starting to share their financial journeys, bankruptcy, etc. And everyone is feeling really alone and really ashamed. And when they share it with a friend or a close family member or whoever you feel comfortable sharing with, they all say the same thing, that it feels like a weight lifted from them, and they can finally see things clearly, and they can focus on actually creating an action plan on how to better their situation, rather than just feeling this shame and guilt and all those unnecessary and unproductive feelings. We are all human, we all have them. However, taking one step to not being ignorant in this part of your life might be the thing that you needed to hear today and might be the step that you needed to take right now.